Hey, how y'all doing, man? So apparently there's people now who just found out that wrestlers are individuals who can do whatever they want and say whatever they want and have political opinions that are the opposite of theirs. So what brought this topic up was some dweeb online who I will not give him the credit of saying who it is, but he apparently saw a video and he took a screenshot of this video and of Undertaker in a Blue Lives Matter t-shirt. And then he posted it online, got the most engagement he's ever gotten. I went through his page. It's pretty much the only thing that he had ever posted that got a lot of engagement. And there were people posting pictures. They had done some more investigation into his life, apparently. And they had found that Michelle McCool had posted a picture of her and their daughter in an I Stand for the National Anthem sweatshirts. And apparently now we are supposed to believe that Undertaker is this flaming racist. This is also on the heels of David Bixenspan, who is a quote-unquote journalist, who found a picture of Undertaker in an SS Thunderbolt shirt. I will post that on the video as well. And he was saying that this means that Undertaker is a white supremacist. So we have evidence of Undertaker being a white supremacist, even though we know that he's been involved with bikers for a long time. And the picture that they were talking about is from the mid to early 90s, and was involved in a bike shop or biker gang or something like that. That's where the SS came from. It had fuck all to do with white supremacists or Nazis. We also don't know what his feelings are about black people because we're not having that conversation. But that's not all. Apparently, Taya Valkyrie, the wife of John Morrison, and Carmella both posted the same sort of tweet about coronavirus and heart disease. That heart disease kills more people than coronavirus, but we're more worried about coronavirus. And people were saying they were fat shaming because apparently that's what happens when you worry about people's health. You're fat shaming. We all know, because I did a video about it a couple of days ago, about Val Venus and his apparently quote-unquote transphobic comments about Nyla Rose and AEW. So apparently he's a transphobe. Where people are constantly upset that AJ Styles is a Christian and that Undertaker is a Christian, or Sting or Shawn Michaels and all these people, makes no sense. There are people out there who are offended that Sami Zayn is a Muslim and that Mustafa Ali is a Muslim. I don't understand that. Why does that matter? But apparently that's part of the problem now. You have this moron David Starr, who is a fucking communist. So you have that guy floating around out there. You have Brian Cage, who's talking about wrestling needs a union. That's also a David Starr thing. There's just so many people with their different political beliefs. There was a picture not too long ago. I wish I could find it. Maybe I will find it, of Chris Jericho standing with Donald Trump Jr. And the AEW faithful were so upset that Chris Jericho, who was the world champion at the time, was a Trump supporter. And how could Chris Jericho be a Trump supporter? How could Chris Jericho? Then of course he became they started calling him the Alex Jones of pro wrestling. That he used to come up with conspiracy theories, and that he's an apologist for Chris Benoit and all of this stuff. And you know what all this crap is? There's a lot of bored fans out there. Wrestling is not as must-see as it used to be. And so I think a lot of people are bored with what they see on the screen. So they start looking for stories outside the screen. They start looking for backstage stories, backstage gossip, political bullshit, and they want to talk about that. They would rather talk about that than talk about what's happening on TV and what's on the screen. I'm different. I have no interest in the personal lives of a professional wrestler. Most of these guys, I do not know their real names unless they have their real name on their Twitter bio or some crazy shit like that. Okay, I do not care about the political opinions of a fucking pro wrestler or a fucking pro wrestling company unless you shove it in my face. Now, this is where the AEW thing comes in. I do not care that Cody wants to talk about the lack of black professional wrestlers in wrestling. And he said something like, "Well, why aren't there more black world champions? Because there are a lot of black world champions in boxing and mixed martial arts, so there should be more black world champions in wrestling." And then he was immediately dogpiled by all of the woke wrestling crowd for there not being a lot of black wrestlers in AEW. And they continue to do that, by the way. Every week there is more, why aren't there any black wrestlers in AEW, man? They need to be more, or they'll say more black male wrestlers in AEW. Even though there's four. There's four. Scorpio Sky, Sunny Kiss, and Private Party. There's four, okay? And that's not a lot. You know, they could certainly have more. But the idea is he is not under any obligation to hire a bunch of black people just to make you feel better. Nobody gives a shit about any of this stuff. Okay? As long as you don't shove it in my face, I don't care about any of this crap. And AEW has done the thing of, we're going to go out of our way to push these things in your face. And that's different. You know, Daniel Bryan wants to try to get WWE to make environmentally friendly t-shirts. I don't give a shit about that. I don't care about that. You know, Sami Zayn is running his I Stand for Syria. I don't have a feeling one way or the other about Syria. I'm not upset that Sami Zayn, you know, wants to do things for Syria. Sami Zayn supports Bernie Sanders. I don't care about Sami Zayn supporting Bernie Sanders. I don't care about any of that crap. I don't care about none of it. Why? Because they're allowed to have their opinions and not for their personal lives to color what they do on screen. Now, if it was to be some blurring of the lines between the two, then maybe we can have a little bit of a conversation. Because I think that, you know, there was an eco-friendly Daniel Bryan for a while, and you can have that conversation while still talking about him as an athlete on the screen, about, you know, the conversation between, you know, environmentalism and wrestling and stuff like that. I have no interest in that conversation, really. You know, I have no interest in, now maybe I do have some interest in how Mustafa Ali feels about, you know, Saudi Arabia, or because I know Sami Zayn and Mustafa Ali, neither one of them are thrilled about the whole Saudi Arabia thing. Just because they're all Muslim don't mean they all agree, right? And that's because people are white don't mean that they all agree. Just because Undertaker is wearing a black Blue Lives Matter t-shirt doesn't mean that he agrees with everything the police does. It just doesn't make any sense. And people who are nuanced and intelligent can think that way. They can realize that maybe he agrees with this one issue, but maybe he also has a Blue Lives Matter t-shirt and a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. I don't know if I haven't seen his fucking closet. I don't know. You know, and if he doesn't, let's say he has nothing but Blue Lives Matter t-shirts. As long as he doesn't have a fucking Klan hood in there, I don't give a damn. Okay? Now, and this is where the Ultimate Warrior becomes a little bit of a difference. Because Ultimate Warrior was quite aggressive in his dislike for homosexuals. It's not like a subject popped up or somebody went digging for something, you know, and people are doing a lot of this digging. But and that's really, let's not even talk about Ultimate Warrior because he's dead. Let's just push that to the side. He was wrong for saying the stuff that he said, but let's push that to the side. Even though what he said is not biologically incorrect. But let's push it to the side anyway. These losers out here who are data mining people's social media accounts looking for things to get upset about, you're fucking losers. Okay? Get a life. Get a fucking life. If you want to sit back and data mine somebody's Instagram account looking for something to get upset about so that you can claim that this wrestler is less than woke, or this wrestler is MAGA, or this wrestler is this and that and who gives a shit? Okay, who really gives a shit? Grow up. You know, we don't need to know this stuff. The entertainment is for the screen. What they do on screen is your entertainment. Not what you data mine and find out here, trying to cross-reference things that they do online. You know? Because this cancel culture shit, it's not gonna work, man. You know, especially not with Undertaker. You know, unless he actually says something out of the way like Hogan did, you're not really gonna get him canceled over a Blue Lives Matter t-shirt. It's not gonna happen, bro. Most people are just going to shrug and be like, he's from Texas. Just like when Daniel Bryan goes on his talking about environmentalism, I say, well, he's from Washington. One of the most leftist cities in the entire, one of the most leftist states in the entire country. I'm not surprised. You know, Sami Zayn supports Bernie Sanders. He's Canadian. Of course, he's going to sit back and say, well, I believe in universal health care. He's Canadian. Okay? That should be no surprise to anyone. And I'm not surprised. And I'm not upset. People are allowed to have their personal opinions, and they're allowed to express their personal opinions even on their private accounts. You know, and you know, for you to fuck off if you are upset about a wrestler's personal opinion. Because I know Jim Cornette is another one that comes up a lot. I do not agree with Jim Cornette's politics. I don't. That's why when I listen to his podcast and he starts talking about Trump and all that shit, I just skip right over it. I don't care what his opinion on Trump is. I'm not listening to Jim Cornette because I want to learn about politics. I don't give a shit. I skip that shit. Okay? I don't care. I want to hear what Jim Cornette has to say about wrestling because that's what he knows. I don't know. You know, Jim Cornette is a multi-millionaire liberal who supports, you know, excessive taxation and all this crazy stuff because he already made his money. You know, it's everybody else that's going to get screwed. But he doesn't view the world that way. And you can't meet him to tell him that either. So I'm like, okay, what am I arguing with this guy about? I'm not going to tweet him and get into a debate with him on the subject of economics. It doesn't fucking matter. It does not matter. We can talk about wrestling. Let's talk about that. And that's really what the point of entertainment is to bring people together, even on issues that they don't agree with, and to be able to agree on something. But we've seen this dissolution in the arts, especially in the arts, through comic books, movies, video games, etc., where everything is a battlefield. Everything is about whether you're pushing feminism, which WWE has been doing a lot, and Impact is doing a lot of it now. AEW has been doing it a lot. They've been trying to jump on this feminist wave with, you know, the first ever women's main event and the first ever women's world champion, and we're going to make women's wrestling matter and all that bullshit. See, that kind of stuff will get a reaction. But if you just do it and just say, okay, well, we're going to do this show. It's going to be an all-female show. Okay, I don't care. You know, ultimately, I don't give a shit. I'll watch it or I won't watch it. It's really that simple, you know? And this is why I don't follow wrestlers on Twitter. I don't follow them. I only stumble across stuff when people talk about it, and that's it, you know? So I would suggest that a lot of you people, if you see something that you don't like, you didn't like that Lacey Evans laughed because some guy was getting roasted about how he looked, or MJF said some guy was fat or ugly or something like that, and you got offended. Look, just unfollow them. You know, your focus should be on what they do on the screen, not what they doing on Twitter and all that shit anyway. So unfollow them. Act like that shit doesn't, because the shit doesn't happen if you don't see it. And if somebody tweets on your timeline, mute it, block it, do whatever, and you are in complete control of your social media experience. There's a lot of shit that happens in the wrestling Twitter that I don't see and I don't want to see. I just happen to, you know, follow some black wrestling fans and stuff like that, and saw this Undertaker thing. And I see stuff like this all the time where people are upset about a wrestler's political opinion or their religion or whatever, and none of that shit matters. People need to stop it. Just fucking stop. And think about it. They have the right to their opinion too. And they have a right to make a living. I don't like David Starr. He's a fucking communist. I've talked to him on numerous occasions about his goddamn communism. And guess what? Ultimately, he's not going to budge. I'm not going to budge. I'm not a fan of his in-ring work either, so I don't need to even look at his Twitter account. So I don't go anywhere near it. You know, so ultimately, he's not harming me. He's just putting bad ideas into the world. Which, if you look outside into the world and you listen to people as they talk, the world is filled with fucking bad ideas. David Starr's is just one of 100 million. Okay, so what do you guys think? Do you think that the data miners are losers who want to go through people's websites and stuff like that, looking for something to get upset about? You need to stop it. Again, for the people who do this kind of thing, stop doing it. For everybody else, start shaming people who do this. Start talking to these people and asking them why are they such fucking losers and why they got so much goddamn time. Go get a fucking job. If you got a job, get a second one. Go do something, especially go do something productive. You know? But thanks for listening. Like this video, share, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys later, hopefully about something more upbeat than Undertaker wearing a Blue Lives Matter t-shirt. Peace.